This video is brought to you by Keeps. Stick around to hear more about the discount they are providing to the entire Upper Echelon community. Well, the people have asked and asked and asked again, so here we are. Earth 2. Any long-standing viewer of the channel will already know what this means, but as always, I'll do a summary for everyone who doesn't know. Also, there's a pretty hefty playlist of videos in the description down below that goes over the marathon of coverage around this topic, which has taken place over the span of at least a year and a half. A complete timeline of this project, start to finish, would be something like 3 hours long. I've done 13 different videos, each with their own coverage angle. And if you have a few hours and want some entertainment, feel free to watch them all. But like I said, I'll do a summary here and now for the people that don't really have the time or the interest. Earth 2 is a metaverse project that quite literally claims to be creating The Matrix or Ready Player One. This thing right here, because that's all it really is right now, they have showcased some rendered visuals with store-bought assets in the past, but nothing foundational actually exists right now other than this marketplace. This thing right here is the core. Buy and sell little tiles on a satellite map. They complain if you say Google Maps because something proprietary and something Mapbox technology, but the reality is the entire thing is a speculation market of digital land representations inside a user-driven economy with daily collectibles. If that sounded like word soup, I get it, and in simplest terms possible, it's just a money pit. Engaging with the economy of Earth 2 means buying tiles or trading other collectibles and assets. Primarily, it's all about the tiles, but there are also jewels that do nothing, or hollow buildings that do nothing, and a few other things that do nothing. And these can also be traded between users. The company will harvest a transaction fee for every exchange, and has effectively created a loop of peer-to-peer greater fool theory, which is monetized at every single juncture. Alright, it's that time, once again, for today's video sponsor, and that sponsor is Keeps. The reason for this is quite simple. Most people watching this right now are men, somewhere between the ages of 18 to 45, and hair loss is a phenomenon which affects roughly 2 out of 3 men by their mid-30s. Thus, in the world of product integrations, Keeps makes a lot of sense. Keeps is a hair loss prevention treatment with more 5-star reviews than any of its current competitors. You can order and get treated directly from your own home for a fraction of the cost when compared to other products, and they offer generic versions of the only 2 FDA-approved hair loss treatments on the entire market. If you click the link down below, you can get 50% off your first order. Again, that's 50% off your first order if you click the link down below in the description. Keeps can help prevent, even in some cases actually reverse the process of hair loss. And yes, I do get paid for these advertisements, but Keeps has been a long-standing partner providing excellent support to Upper Echelon. Once again, there is a link down below in the description for 50% off your first order. Big thank you to Keeps for sponsoring the channel. The easiest way to explain this is to create an example. Imagine if I have a rock. I tell you that it's a new element. Oh, whoa! It will advance the world of science through incredible applications, and if you buy it from me early, you can benefit from all of that success. You, fool that you are, buy it, but for month after month, year after year, nothing actually happens. However, I'm a greedy bastard, and I'm out here selling these rocks to everyone I possibly can. In fact, while doing so, I have convinced a decent number of people that they are amazingly valuable rocks, incredibly unique and somehow revolutionary in the modern world, which means that there is a pretty sizable community of people who now think that what you have is actually desirable. The more people I find who are interested, or rather, I should say, the more people I find who I can trick, the more I end up charging for the brand new rocks. And the more I charge for the rocks, the more someone is willing to pay for your rock by comparison, naturally. Eventually, you are holding something you paid $10 for, just as a weird example, that is now worth $100, just because a bigger fool than you is willing to pay that much money. That's the only reason. And you are faced with a choice. Offload this rock to a greater fool, or hold it and wait for an even greater fool. Sounds good, right? Early participants in a system like this can make a tremendous amount of money. That's just true. But eventually you reach a tipping point. Every single community-driven market on Earth is governed by supply, demand, and risk. Too much supply, no demand, price falls. Too much demand, no supply, price rises. Too much risk, price will rise if it applies to the seller, or fall if it applies to the buyer. Round and round we go. Let's now apply this logic to digital land and other collectibles inside Earth 2. These items do literally nothing except change hands for money. That's their sole purpose. At the start, land squares were worth a small amount of money, but over time, more and more fools got involved. At its peak, some people had theoretical portfolios here worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. But all of that is predicated on an ever-worsening cycle of greater fools who are hoping to buy, hold, then sell for more than they paid. What's the problem here? The problem is that eventually there won't be a greater fool. Eventually there will be a fool, maybe, but not a greater one, and you can either wait with vain hope that one comes along or sell. If you sell, you take a loss and exit this twisted monetary scheme somewhat intact. But if you wait, the number of fools coming into the system drops too far or too fast, and you get stuck. The developers of this project, namely the CEO Shane Isaac, have long decried criticism as uninformed or inaccurate because people would claim that Earth 2 was a scam, and a scam often insinuates an inflection point where the company changes its action pattern and consciously steals from its user base. This is typically called a rug pull in a lot of industries, and while it's understandable to assume that this is a possibility in Earth 2, the reality is they don't need to do that. The rug pull won't be deliberate. It won't be orchestrated by the developers themselves. It will occur naturally as the greater fool cycle collapses in on itself like a dying star, and the push to sell, even at a loss, outpaces demand to buy. I've already covered the tipping point where I believe this already happened. My opinion is that we are now well underway with a slow decline and ultimate collapse, but the speed at which this occurs depends entirely on the existing community. To logically finish the prior "you bought this worthless rock" example, if you and a few others decide, well, now wait a second, this rock is just granite, it's not a new element, and try to offload those rocks for more than you paid for them, but can't find a buyer, what now? Maybe some of you get out lucky for half the price compared to peak value, which is still more than you paid for it, good on you, you turned a profit. But the people who bought that rock now from you, or your friends or whoever it is, will expect to get more than they paid. Uh-oh, that's a problem, because the commonly accepted price of the rock has now decreased. Plenty of people are looking for a greater fool to sell their rocks to, but the newest fools are actually technically lesser fools in a sense, because they bought in lower from you and your friends who managed to sell. How do you sell the rock for more than you paid to someone who can buy other rocks for less than you paid? Answer: you kind of can't. This is precisely what I believe is now happening inside Earth 2. The economy still functions in a rudimentary sense on the way down, but you are on the way down, and as time goes on, volume dries up, and eventually there won't be any more fools, let alone greater ones, and the value of what you hold becomes absolute zero. Now keep in mind, you weren't rug pulled, you weren't even necessarily scammed in the traditional sense of the word, you just participated in a doomed economy that was built purely on the desire of its participants to make more money than they paid for an object that has zero intrinsic value. In the end, early users make some money, middle users can go either way, up and down, and late adopters shoulder the burden of buying into something they can't get rid of and are completely wiped out. AKA, Greater Fool Theory, Earth 2. Sure, one could argue that locations in Earth 2 matter, so if you buy land in New York City that will be desirable in the metaverse, thereby disproving the idea that all purchases are equally as susceptible to the Greater Fool downside, sure, what? No. They're not recreating Earth and everything currently built on Earth. They're just trying to recreate raw land at that scale. New York City won't exist unless users replicate it themselves. And that doesn't happen because a digital metaverse isn't the product of geopolitical conflict, trade routes, and centuries of real-time physical industrial evolution. Buying land on a major city in Earth 2, because it's there in Earth 1, is fucking brain dead because that city doesn't exist, won't exist, and shouldn't exist for a myriad of reasons, because it is predicated on an entirely different digital reality. Now, that was a very long explanation of why the project is, in my opinion, completely doomed, but that wasn't the only thing for today. It's actually the 2-year anniversary of Earth 2 right now, this month anyway, and they did this huge update post which I wanted to showcase a little bit, and also highlight why an expectation that this will actually become anything similar to The Matrix or Ready Player One is ass backwards and misguided. Earth 2 turns 2. Amazing. Anniversary hype. Sounds good. But what do you get? Well, you get some fixes because they released a broken feature where the monetization didn't work. It worked for them, just not for the community. Callum Upton has an excellent video on that part that he recently posted. You get some news on the PvP, more on that in a second, but you also get like 5 bullet points that are nothing. Now, when I say nothing, I mean, quote, Tier 3 land. There has also been talk about a potential Tier 3 land release similar to how we released Tier 2 land last year. While at this point in time we do have plans to release Tier 3 land in the future, we do not have any plans for the short-term release of Tier 3 land, end quote. They basically have a big section of their anniversary announcements on what to expect, which is a giant hype post, that is just item after item after item that you shouldn't expect and they're telling you isn't going to happen. Like, I don't understand the thought process here. Fine, maybe I'm just nitpicking right now, but let's delve into the development side just a bit and paint a picture. For a long time, the Earth 2 community, functioning more like a cult than anything else, was heralding a specific developer as the biggest reason why the game isn't a scam. Wolfgang Walk, who does indeed have some verifiable credentials, was their biggest claim to legitimacy that they had, and yet he's gone. He's been gone for a while, and not just him, but another high-profile developer that the community used as a shield is also gone and actually started his own competing metaverse apparently after leaving. What does that mean? It means that the project is unstable from a personnel perspective. In a prior video, we went over how one of the brand new hires at Earth 2, a junior developer, was a serial scammer named Tanner, who then got caught on tape claiming that Shane Isaac, the CEO, was opening a multi-million-dollar lawsuit against his YouTube critics, which obviously wasn't true. And it also means that there are new project leaders in place for a multitude of different departments, presumably. See, but are there though? As of October 2022, according to a Discord chat, Shane Isaac had taken control of just all game design, which includes the eco-sim elements of this game. But wait, Shane Isaac is also the architect, mastermind, and lead developer for the PvP part of Earth 2, which will be text-based, I guess? No one really knows, although people speculate on it all the time. And that's not enough, right? That's not enough responsibility for him. Turns out that after the most recent, shall we say, snafu with regards to marketplace payout functions, Shane Isaac is now, quote, taking over personally to ensure those features and others listed a few weeks ago would be integrated into the system as per his original vision. Amazing. Shane Isaac unironically believes that a YouTuber shadow cabal is mounting an attack against him. That joke went so far, in fact, Josh Strafe Hayes did an April Fool's joke, an entire thing with all the people who have covered this just to laugh about it, right? It's absurd that we're all like secretly connected by a puppeteer who's pulling the strings and paying everyone to take down Earth 2 because it's such a monumental advancement in human technology that of course we can't allow it to succeed, and we're all hooded shadow figures in oh my god. I'm still kicking myself actually on that because I was supposed to be in it, the April Fool's video he did. He DM'd me on Discord actually, and I wasn't there that night. Everyone else made it in except me, and I was super sad. But the point is, the man in charge of all game design, PvP, economy simulation, and marketplace design, website UI, as well as, I guess, basically fucking everything, seems to be unhinged. Final point. This greater fool-driven speculation bubble is apparently on track, if you let the CEO be any indication, for esports partnerships. There's no game. There's no competitive aspect except maybe a future text-based, question mark? I don't know what on the website, coming soon, and yet he wants to partner up with esports teams for advertising? Why? Why would you sponsor esports players and teams other than to attract fools so that the other fools, or the older fools, can have a newer fool to dump their speculative purchases on, while Earth 2 leeches money the entire time? In the end, Earth 2 still technically exists, but continues to operate on a monetize first and aggressively, wherever possible, create value never type business model, where the sole purpose here is to enter, buy, flip, and exit, because if there isn't another fool to sell your tiles to, you're stuck, and it goes to zero. Sure, that can happen in almost any marketplace if the traded item drops to zero value, which isn't really true of most traded items in the world, but the likelihood of it happening here is orders of magnitude greater than pretty much any other economy I have ever seen, including video game economies, because everything has zero value here. Bottom line, even the most diehard supporters are now kind of abandoning the project, with good reason it seems, and that cycle becomes incredibly hard to stop when it picks up any real momentum whatsoever. In a greater fool-driven economy of zero value, it's probably going to pick up momentum as people realize. Just be aware. That's it. If you want support, check out the links down below. We do still have some, shall we say, Burning Earth merchandise, which I'll link directly to. I had a joke a while back that Earth 2 would earn me thousands of dollars one way or another, so I sold images, or, well, shirts with images on them of their tile grid on Earth in flames. They're still available, it turns out. There are other links as well, like the video sponsor, Odyssey, a YouTube platform alternative, or Locals and Patreon, which is just a monthly subscription. I'm trying to clean up all these links and stuff and organize them or reorganize them soon, but right now, yeah, a lot of things to check out. Anyways, I'll cut it there and stop rambling. As always, thank you all for watching, and have a nice night.